Good. No problem.
Okay. So the book is slated to be launched next Thursday. We are in association with the National HRD Network Bangalore chapter, and
Okay.
we are inviting the HR fraternity of Bangalore. And of course, it's hosted by my college, which is the IFM School of Business, which is going to be hosting that particular show. And I'll also be playing a excerpt of some of your discussions here, there, as part of the
Okay.
virtual launch.
Got it. Got it. Well, that's exciting. And do you have a sense of how the distribution and public and may go? Books don't sell the way they used to. It's difficult to get books. I remember when I started, you'd sell 25 or 30 or 40,000, 50,000. Now you're lucky to sell 5 or 10,000.
Absolutely.
And things have changed, I think, in that world. But obviously, it's a good book, and you have good support from what you're doing. So
Yes, Dave. We are planning to sell it through the Amazon network and Kindle. And as you
nice.
rightly said, these days the sale of books is a big struggle. People don't want to pay for content in most part of the world. So, and content is available freely on the internet. So, selling of books is, I don't think it's a money making endeavor. It's more about passion, more about sharing some of my knowledge and experiences, not so much a commercial venture.
I understand that totally. It's and it's a way of getting ideas out. I mean, it's and the
Absolutely.
book is a good discipline to write. I get that. I've written a lot of books, and I'm thinking about doing another one. And like you say, people get spoiled. They can go get a LinkedIn post. They can go to a TED Talk. They can go to a webinar for
Right.
free. And the challenge is not just the knowledge, but it's a very good book. And how long did it take you to write?
I guess I started somewhere at the beginning of this year, Dave. It took me about 2 or 3 months to put my thoughts together to bring a structure to it. And then I sat and wrote for about 3 to 4 months, and
Okay.
probably another couple of months to fine tune it. And of course, there's no end to fine tuning it. Every day we get new ideas, we want to tune it. So it's roughly about 8 months it took me, Dave.
Yeah, that's very common. Actually, what's frustrating in books is you get it done, and then it takes 3 to 4 months to get it printed and published. And by then you'd change it because you
Yeah.
have new ideas. I mean, you're not thinking once and quitting. You come from a legacy with CK and others of innovation and creative ideas, which is what makes you a good thinker. But anyway, so well, I commend you. I hope it goes well. And I know we have an A, B, and C that you sent. I will be delighted to follow that outline, and
Sure.
you can edit what you think will be the most helpful. But um, so, just again, anything about you? We've had great interaction on internet, which has been great. I've enjoyed that.
Yes, Dave.
I commend your history. CK continues to be one of my legacy mentors, and I know he was important in your life as part of your family, and an unbelievable human being. Um, and anyway, so,
Yeah.
but
CK was posterity, but then you have been my mentor now. I've been a ardent student of yours since 1990s when I first started my journey in HR. And I'm so privileged and honored, and I can't believe it that I'm sitting in front of you and talking to you. And thank you so much, Dave, for so magnanimously, interacting with me, sharing some of your thoughts and ideas, and ultimately, of course, writing a forward for me and then doing this discussion on the book with me. I'm so grateful to you, Dave.
it's, I mean, the key to what we do in our field is we pass on, and the next generation will be better than this one. And I think we believe
Absolutely.
that with children. We believe that with ideas. That I think the best thinkers acknowledge that their thinking is a piece in time, and the next generation always evolves that knowledge. And you've done that in your work, which is commendable to you. So, what would be the most helpful for you as we go through this discussion?
Maybe those questions which you had, you could ask me that, Dave, and then in the end, if you can just say a few words about your thoughts about the book, or probably about HR analytics, and then some few words about the book. That'll be great. You want to start
That'd be
that, or you
great.
want it? I leave it with you.
Let me let me do a little bit of piece about the importance of analytics in the world we're in. Maybe 2 to 3 minutes. and then involve you with those 5 questions, which I think are very good.
Sure.
And then to wrap up, is that okay?
That's fine with me, Dave.
Good. And the audience for this next week will be about how many people would likely show up to your book launch, do you think?
But 150 people?
Wow. Mostly in HR?
Yeah, mostly in HR, maybe a few business leaders, but mostly in HR.
Okay.
Plus, I may also do a YouTube live streaming. I will send you a link if that works. I will send you. I can even have a
That'd
global
be great.
audience.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Okay. So let me do a little introductory spiel and then interview you. And ooh, should I put a coat on? Let me put a coat on so I have a coat with you. Hang on.
No,
Hang on.
or
I
should
have a
I
coat
remove it,
sitting.
Dave? No, should
No,
I remove
leave
it?
yours on. Leave yours on.
No, I didn't know the protocol. I thought I'm talking to the world's guru, so I should be formally dressed.
I came unplugged. I have a coat sitting here, so so we will look alike. We will be twins. What are you going to do fun today, the rest of your day on
I
Friday?
have my
What's fun?
I have my classes today, Dave. I'm going back to the college after this.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. What are you teaching?
Right now, I'm teaching about recruitment and selection this particular semester, and I'm
Nice.
today going to talk about some of the recruitment trends, and then later on about how AI is impacting recruitment.
Ooh, I'd love to see your notes on that. Everybody is excited. I mean, there was a big Amazon does an annual conference called Amazon reInvent, where
Right.
it's the Amazon Web Services or projects. 50,000 people show up. They have to do it
Wow.
in Las Vegas, where they take over the city. And this year they did a subtrack on HR.
Oh,
That HR is one of the most critical places for AI and reinventing the things. And it was interesting to hear people talk about that. I don't know if we fully appreciate what that will be. So if you send any notes, I'd love to learn from that.
I'll do
I'm
that,
trying to
Dave.
figure it out. Trying to
Sure.
figure it out. Okay. Now that I feel formal and we look alike, uh, let me just take a minute and then I'll spend a few minutes talking and then I'll get into questions with you.
Sure, Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave Ulrich. It's just a delight to talk to Ramesh and to talk about our field of HR. Wherever you are listening to this, it could be in a session in India, it could be a session on YouTube, it could be anywhere. Let me just give you a sense of what's happening in this world where the work that we do in human resources is becoming central to business success. When we look at the world today, we see an enormous amount of contextual change. We see AI, we see technology, we see uncertainty economically, politically. We see demographics changing around the people that work for us and the people that buy our products. We see an enormous amount of complexity and change. To respond to that complexity and change, business and HR leaders are turning to people and organization. People are the raw ingredients of any company. Organization pulls those ingredients together. We call that human capability. Human is the people, my fingers. Capability is the organization, my fist. And leadership is the combination. And then my forearms are the HR services. We build the HR services so that the people, organization, and leadership in a company will help the company succeed in the marketplace. The line that we love to use is if a company doesn't succeed in the marketplace, there is no workplace. Let me
Absolutely.
say that again. If we don't succeed in the marketplace, there is no workplace. So, what
Absolutely.
does that mean for our discussion? In order to demonstrate that success, we need to move beyond instinct. Well, I remember we did a big study once with 20 or 30,000 data points. And one of my colleagues who had a very good reputation in the field said, I looked at your data, but let me tell you what I think. And I said, time out.
Right.
I appreciate what you think, but we have data from 20,000 people. That's research. That's analytics. The reason I love the book that Ramesh has just done is that he shows us the value of analytics, not just in terms of benchmarking. How do I compare with someone else? That's good. And we need indicators. Not just in terms of best practice. What's good? All the books on my shelf are about best practices, and we tell those. Not just predictive analytics, benchmark, best practice, predictive analytics, but how do we use data to guide our behavior? If you're in HR today, When we walk into a meeting to talk about selection and staffing and training and careers and compensation, we need the evidence to show that when we make those investments, good things will happen for our
Right.
employees, for our business, and for our company. Ramesh, that's my introduction. That's one of the reasons I loved your book. You are not just doing data as a source of data, you're doing data as a source of information to make better decisions. And congratulations. I know that writing a book is an enormous amount of work. And it's a sacrifice. It's also a little weird. I think you've got to recognize writing a book is very private. Welcome to my office where I do my writing. Often I do my writing in a chair over here, not in this desk. But you do your writing in private, and then suddenly it's public, and everybody's
Absolutely.
going to say, "Wow, suddenly I know who Ramesh is inside." So that's kind of weird. But let me find out from you about your book and what it means to you. So, why did you write the book? What was behind your thinking?
There for quite some time during the course of my career, I've had people trying to ask, what is it that HR does? And somebody in my family, one of my family members, a young graduate, passed out of her MBA college recently and joined one of the big IT companies. And then she came up and said, uh, "What is that you guys do?" And that really hit me hard because I thought HR was quite well established, and that's where I felt that somewhere that we haven't been able to articulate to business, to the common man in the organization, that what is it that we do in HR that impacts business. We are not able to clearly articulate the linkages between HR initiatives and the business outcomes. And I think that's where I really felt that using data science, using the latest technologies available, can we come out with some matrices, certain ways in which we can try and demonstrate how is it that what is it that we do in HR impacts business. So I developed an interest in data science and analytics. I started teaching in the leading business schools in Bangalore in the field of HR analytics. I've done a few workshops on HR analytics, and that's why my students, my participants said, why don't you convert that into a book and crystallize all your thoughts and ideas and bring a structure and framework? And that's how I came up with this book, Making People Count. And of course, inspired by leaders, thought leaders like you, I said, let me try and see if I can also do something to give back to the society.
I congratulate you, and I faced the same. A few months ago, I was on an airplane, and there was another faculty, and he was traveling with his spouse, and we got off the plane, and I waited to say hi, and he said, "Hi, this is Dave Ulrich. He teaches HR." And I could just feel the derision in his voice, kind of undermining, disparaging. And I didn't say anything. And I thought, "So what do you do?" And well, I do leadership, I do culture. That's HR. I
Right,
mean, HR is not just the policy police, it's not just getting payroll out on time. I think
absolutely.
that's HR 50 years ago. And we still have to do that. But what I love about your book and the place where you started is HR is not about HR. It's about helping a company succeed in the marketplace.
Right,
And people count, not, and we do care about people, but it isn't just caring about people, it's caring about people so that the organization succeeds. Have you
exactly.
had some experiences where you've seen that work and you share those in your book? What are some experiences where now's the time to really make people count? It's a great title for a book. What experiences have you had that leads to that?
Dave, in one of my organizations where I worked, I was entrusted with the responsibility of setting up HR shared services. And when I took over that particular role, it was a large organization, about 20,000 people, managing about 30 factories and spread all across the country in about 40 locations. I know I used to get a lot of noise whenever I went to my inaugural meetings. A lot of people used to say, "What is it HR is doing? You guys are not delivering." And most of the noise was also coming from my own HR fraternity, the HR business partners. So that's what and what happened? Generally, we do a surveys once in a year, an employee satisfaction survey, employee engagement survey, and then you get a feedback, and then you know about the recency effect. So I just thought that, how do I demonstrate to people that what is it that HR does and how are we delivering it efficiently and effectively? So we came up with a concept called a voice of internal customer experience, where we said we're going to measure the HR's services at each stage of the employer life cycle, right from the candidate engagement to the hiring manager's satisfaction, to your day one onboarding, to your 90-day onboarding, to your performance management processes. When your compensation reviews are done, how effective and efficiently we have done and how satisfied our people are. When a training is done, the training effectiveness. So at every stage of the employee life cycle, we started an online real-time survey to gather feedback not just from a small community of people but with the entire end user. And then surprisingly, when we did this exercise and tracked it over a period of 6 months, we found that we were generally doing well. It was just that the perception of some of the people who were bad mouthing or were not very satisfied with it. But now, armed with data, with analytics, I was able to go back and whenever people talk something not so good about HR, I showed them the mirror and said, "Was this is the data and this is the end feedback of the end users, not just about 10 or 20 people, but thousands of people." And therefore, the credibility of HR went up. And believe me, the employee satisfaction and HR's credibility index grew from about 3.2 to about 3.8 in a span of 6 months. So this is how
Wow.
I felt that by leveraging analytics and data, I was able to go back and show to the business and to the employees and to my own HR fraternity that we actually deliver and we are actually being able to impact the business and the community at large.
I love what you just described because sometimes the dissent voices are loud, but
Right,
there's not very many of them. And it's like a megaphone and they get a lot of attention. And the beauty of data, it's like this colleague we had 20,000 data points and he said, "But I believe," and my comment was, "That's a useful data point. There's 19,999 other data points. Let's
right,
look at those." I commend you. Moving from a 3.2 to a 3.8 on a 5-point scale in 6 months is breathtaking.
right.
And the information, the analytics allow us not only to track the progress 3.2 to 3.8, but to help us know what is happening so that we can continue to move. Um,
Absolutely.
and it sounds like you've seen that. You've done it firsthand, which you report in your book, and you've seen other companies do that. Are there
Yes.
tools that people can use that bring that discipline to life? So it's not just an aspiration. I love HR. I want to help, but there are real tools. This is not just a wild-eyed guess. There are tools that we can bring that allow that to happen. What are some of those tools you've seen?
Right, Dave. They will have to look at what exactly are we looking at in terms of analytics. If you're looking for some visualization data where you want to use visualization and then graphics and user interfaces, then I would suggest that we use Tableau, Vizier, and Click. Uh, if you're looking for some basic and advanced analysis of data and information, we have the Microsoft Power BI, which is widely used by most organizations. And then, of course, if you want to have a deeper understanding and analyze statistically data, then I think I would recommend, and I've been using it, IBM SPSS, which is a time-tested. You must be aware of a 30-year-old statistical tool. And then, of course, if you want to look into further progressing in terms of predictive analytics, where you want to test variables, and then look at how the various variables interact with each other. What is the correlation between the various HR values and variables? Then I would suggest using tools like R and Python. And I've been using a tool called Rapid Miner, where actually it can handle thousands of 10,000 to sorry a million data sets and variables to the extent of even a few hundreds and few thousands. You can have 10,000 variables being tested for correlation on a data set of 1 million data points, and then give you accurately uh, what is the predictive rate of it. But I still go
So,
back that most people still fall back to our MS Excel. We can never ignore that. It's either the starting point or the end point, where you either import data from Excel into these tools, analyze this data, or from some of these various tools, you still want to export it to an Excel sheet and then work at the So you can still never ignore MS Excel. And these are some of the tools, as I said. If you're looking at visualization, we've got the Visio, we got the Tableau, we got Click. If you're looking at some sort of analytics, the Power BI. If you're looking at statistical analysis, SPSS. If you're looking at predictive analytics and other deeper analytics in terms of regression and progression, you got R and Python. And then, of course, you can never ignore MS Excel.
You know, here's my takeaway. You teach students at a great university. For those of us who've been in the field a long time, these are new tools.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming your students come out, and this is reverse mentoring. I remember when I studied statistics as my PhD a long time ago. Our son has a degree in statistics, and I've gone to him. And so one of the counsels that I assume you would give those of us who've been in the field a long time is don't be threatened by the tool. Go to the graduates from the university and say, is it Python? Is it R? Is it the visualization? The tools are there,
Yes,
and use the tools so that data tells a story. We don't want to just have data. Data is not very elegant, but what's the story? What's the message? And we now have great analytics tools that will filter that message so that we
absolutely.
know what the message is. And again, I'm not sure any of us have to be an expert in all of, well, you do because you're a professor of analytics, but for those of us who are not professors today of analytics, we may not know all the tools, but we know the questions, and we need to
Yes.
trust the tools are there. So in your book, you had, and I'm going to give people who are listening, take a guess how many metrics Ramesh has in his book, and we should have a prize for those who get it right. They get a free book. I'll just give people a second to think, well, how many metrics do we have? How many do you come up with in your book?
About 350 metrics,
Oh, how
Dave.
many? I wonder by raise of hands if you're in a group, did I get 350? There's a lot of metrics out there. We can measure everything. So tell us about those 350 and which ones matter the most.
Yeah. So, Dave, there are two dimensions to it. I would say the harder side metrics and then the softer side metrics. The hard metrics are the ones which are easily quantifiable and measurable, like your matrices around recruitment, about performance management, about compensation, about training and development, about workforce analytics. But then what's really hard to difficult is your softer side of HR, where you're trying to measure and analyze things like employee engagement, things like motivation, things like trust, things like commitment, things like loyalty. Those are the ones which are difficult, in terms of measuring. And as you're aware that some of the hard matrices today, the hard elements of HR like recruitment, compensation, performance management, training, are all getting automated and all are getting probably outsourced. So because of that, it's one of the reasons why the credibility of HR is low because we're not able to clearly articulate how do we measure some of these softer side of HR. And that's one of the things which we have always had a challenge in terms of trying to clearly identify how do I measure some of the softer sides.
Can we track those? Do you have confidence that even though engagement is an example, or well-being or experience, what those concepts, culture, do you think we have ways that we could track those that give validity to our insights?
Yes, sir. What we should do is we should look at what are some of the HR drivers which drive the culture. What are some of the drivers which drives engagement? What are some of the drivers which drive motivation? And then if you start tracking those drivers and then trying to identify if there's a correlation between those variables, then most likely you're able to get a better picture in terms of the final output in terms of culture or trust or engagement.
I love it. So one of the things that I loved about your book is that analytics does, it says we want to increase customer revenue or customer experience. We can do a net promoter score for customers. Here's 10 places we could invest in HR. We could invest in hiring, training, compensation,
Right.
diversity, communication, agile organization, collaboration. One of the beauties is to say we have metrics of all those practices. Now, using R or some other regression analytic, we can say which of those 10 or 12 HR practice areas will give me the best customer experience. Is it who I
Exactly.
hire, how I train, how I pay? And we can partition that variance. Again, that's we should throw around some really good analytics terms and avoid multicollinearity and get fact. I mean, forget all those crappy terms. We're just saying Where can I prioritize my investment to get an outcome my company cares about?
Exactly.
And your book gives us great guidance in doing that.
In
Great
fact, there's a
guidance.
chapter there where I've identified some of the business challenges and what are some of the HR matrices we can track to drive those business outcomes.
And again, that may vary by company, but at least we have a discipline. So what's your hope for the analytics field? What do you hope people get out of your book that will help this profession and business move forward? What are you hoping for?
They basically, through this book, I see it as a practitioner's guide, be it your student, be it HR professional or a people manager. In terms of getting a deeper understanding of first, one is data as the new oil, and then how, of course, HR's credibility can be improved, but and also get a seat at the board of the board. It's about understanding the business matrices, about the how the business analytics grew, and then how HR analytics tightly fits into the business. How does we come up with business impact HR matrices? About understanding how to frame KPIs, and then what are the lead and lag indicators, and then finally coming to the total employee experience, where we try and understand the employee life cycle and how do we measure at each stage of the employee life cycle the people analytics. And then, of course, we are also going to share in this book about the business challenges and how some of the HR matrices can address those business challenges. And no book can be complete without predictive analytics, where we talk about how to what are the tools which helps you in terms of predictive analytics. I even given a small code for predictive analytics. And of course, we're talking about chat GPT in HR, AI in HR analytics, and also taken some reference to how Google and Amazon are use analytics to drive personalized services to people. So can we learn from such experiences and drive personalized HR to people using analytics? And then, of course, caution about ethics, about privacy, about biases and errors, and a little bit about what the future looks like. Uh, I sincerely hope that I've been able to share some of my experiences and experiences of people like you, and to enlighten people about what people analytics is all about and really make people count.
If somebody listening re-listens to what you just said and they don't appreciate one of those 10 or 12 chapter headings, then they shouldn't be in HR. Because what you're doing is capturing the future of HR. When Ramesh talked to me about making people count, how to measure the ROI of human capital, I thought, what a great title and what an even greater book. I was privileged to draft a foreword that I hope reinforces the work you've done for a number of reasons I mentioned. Number one, it's cumulative. You're not starting fresh, you're building on work that's been done. You
Exactly.
know as well as I do that in our field, we have great people who've gone before us. Somebody was one of my mentors, CK Prahalad. I hope CK built on others, and I hope we're building on CK. He would be angry with us if we weren't extending his work. We need to move it forward. You've done that. Number two, it's relevant. This is relevant. This is not just an HR book. This is a business book. Number three, you've done data analysis and analytics and connection. You've turned how to turn data into information. I like to think about moving from artificial intelligence to informed intelligence. And all of that leads to action. I think you've done a book that helps us define the future. That through the analytics you've got and making people count, getting ROI, return on, I call it return on intangibles, not just return on investment, we make a difference. So if you're an HR professional listening to this conversation, I encourage you to get the book. If you're not an HR professional, I encourage you not only to get the book, but to come into HR, because this is the
Absolutely.
most exciting profession you could be a part of. And Ramesh, you've helped us move forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a terrific service to the community.
I should say thank you, Dave, for your wonderful gesture of guiding me in this journey, for being a mentor to me, and for graciously writing a forward to me. And if I'm able to imbibe some bit of your qualities, some of your thoughts, and take it forward to the next generation, I would have done a service to you. Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how long that was. That was about 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, very,
I hope
very
that was
well,
good.
very well articulated, Dave, and come out very well, Dave.
Thank you. My friend, good luck with the launch of the book. I commend what you've done, and with your, I think in whatever religion or faith we have, that we live the legacy of our ancestors, and I think you're doing that.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you so much.
congratulations, congratulations. The
I will
spirit
send
of
you,
your posterity.
sorry, I will
Go
send
ahead.
you a copy of it on Kindle, and then I will also see if I can get a hard copy couriered to you from Amazon once it's available on the bookstores.
No problem. Let me know, and I can order it as well. So
Sure.
thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Dave.
great day. So I've got to ask, I always ask, I like to be pragmatic. What are you going to have for dinner tonight? I love to think about food because food is so important to me. What are you going to
My
have for dinner?
my dinner is very simple, Dave. I normally have dosa, the
Okay.
pancake, the dosa.
Yep. Yep.
I keep it light at dinner. I have a medium lunch. I have a medium breakfast. So I eat less.
I eat more. So I'm always looking for great food. And I know food in India is a delicacy. So thank you, my friend. Have a great day. And I will let you go. Thank you so much.
Dave,
Thank
when
you.
you come to India next time, let me know. We'd like to meet you in person or invite you to Bangalore. We'll be more than happy. Let me know if it's possible. We'll always be
Do it.
happy.
I would do it. I would do it. I would do it. I've enjoyed it. I've been there twice this fall. So
I know.
it's a great place to come. It's a long journey, as you know, from India to the U.S.,
Yes,
U.S. to India.
I know.
But it's fantastic. Thank you so much, my friend. Have a
Thank
great
you,
day.
Dave. Thank you. Bye bye.